Students, today we will start the new chapter Reproductive Health. In previous chapters of this unit, we discussed about reproduction in organisms in general. Then we talked about sexual reproduction in flowering plants. And then in third chapter, we specifically discussed about human reproduction. Today we are starting new chapter Reproductive Health. Now what is the significance of this chapter? We all should be aware of reproductive health because it is a very important aspect of everyone's life. If someone asks you, what is health? The most probable answer which will come is that health means absence of disease. But according to World Health Organization, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being and not merely the absence of disease. We can say a person is healthy when he or she is physically fit, mentally and emotionally stable, and behaves normally in the society. For example, if someone fails in some task, he or she will be mentally and emotionally disturbed and may behave abnormally with parents, with friends, or with some other relatives. The person is physically fit but not mentally and emotionally stable. Let's take another example. Suppose you have a quarrel with one of your brother or sister. You are depressed. You may even be rude to your parents or to someone else. Then you are not considered healthy at that moment. Although you are physically fit without any disease, but you are not healthy because what is health? Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being and not merely the absence of disease. Now, what about reproductive health? Reproductive health is health in respect of reproduction. The term refers to healthy reproductive organs with normal functions? No. It has a broader perspective and it includes the emotional and social aspects of reproduction also. According to World Health Organization, reproductive health is a total well-being in physical, emotional, behavioral and social aspect of reproduction. So let's take an example. If someone comes to know that he or she is suffering from sexually transmitted disease like AIDS, then he or she will be emotionally shattered, will be scared also. This in turn will bring changes in his or her behavior and ultimately he or she keep himself or herself isolated from the society. Or society itself stays away from such person on knowing the truth. It means complete health is disturbed. Let's take another example. A couple could not bear child even after long years of their marriage. Some problem may be in the male partner or in the female partner. The problem may be in their reproductive system. So this is the physical aspect of reproduction. But due to this, emotionally they are disturbed. This brings changes in their behavior. They may isolate themselves from society, avoid attending social gatherings because society is asking so many questions from them. So due to physical disorder, they are mentally, emotionally and behaviorally also disturbed. So this chapter is very important because it deals with all these aspects which are required for the reproductive health. In this chapter, we will talk about problems related to reproductive health and what strategies are being taken up to tackle with these problems. Then we will talk of population explosion and birth control methods, medical termination of pregnancy, which is also called induced abortion. Then we will talk about sexually transmitted diseases and last of all is infertility. What are the problems related to reproductive health? What are the methods taken up to achieve reproductive health? Let's discuss. Now, India being a developing country is going through lot many problems related to reproductive health. One of the issue is of population explosion. India is second in position in world with respect to human population, due to which there is poverty, malnutrition, lack of education, sex related crimes in the Indian society. So, India was amongst the first countries in the world to start action plans and programs at a national level to attain total reproductive health as a social goal. These programs were initially called family planning, and these programs started in 1951. Now, improved programs under the popular name reproductive and child health care programs are currently in operation that are covering wider reproduction related areas. Now, let us discuss what are the aims and objectives of reproductive and child health care programs. One of the objectives of RCH program is to create awareness among people about various reproduction related aspects. It aims at providing facilities and support in the form of hospitals, dispensaries and clinics for building up a reproductively healthy society. RCH programs encourage introduction of sex education in schools so that young children are provided right information so that they do not believe in myths and misconceptions about sex related aspects. RCH program aims at providing massive child immunization, for example, in the form of administration of polio drops or free distribution of deworming tablets to the school-going children. RCH program provides proper information about reproductive organs, adolescence and related changes in them, safe and hygienic sexual practices. It aims at providing proper information about sexually transmitted diseases like AIDS. RCH programs educate people about available birth control options, how to take care of pregnant mothers, how to take care of the mother and child after the delivery of the child, and it is called postnatal care of the mother and child. RCH programs educate people about importance of breastfeeding, equal opportunities for male and the female child. It creates awareness about social evils like sex abuse and sex related crimes. Amniocentesis. Amniocentesis is a technique which is used to diagnose the genetic disorder or chromosomal disorder in the fetus before birth. But there is a statutory ban on amniocentesis for determining the fetal sex. Actually, what is amniocentesis technique? What is being done in amniocentesis technique? Let's discuss. You see here, this is the uterine wall and this is the fetus, and this is a fluid which is called amniotic fluid. Fetal cells shed off and they come into the amniotic fluid, and this amniotic fluid is being taken up. This amniotic fluid is having the cells. This is having the cells of the fetus. It is being taken up and it is tested for genetic disorders or chromosomal disorders. If some genetic disorder or chromosomal disorder is diagnosed, then the parents are made aware of and they are advised to go for abortion. But what people started doing? They started identifying the sex of the child from these cells. So they started misusing amniocentesis to determine the sex of the child. And if the sex of the child is found out to be female, they opted for abortion. Means amniocentesis resulted in increased number of female feticides. So government banned this amniocentesis technique specifically for determining the fetal sex. How is awareness under RCH programs created? Governmental and non-governmental organizations are creating awareness through audio-visual aids and print media. Parents, close relatives, teachers, and friends are also playing an important role in providing reproduction related information. Now, successful implementation of all these plans require strong infrastructural facilities in the form of medicines, dispensaries, hospitals, clinics, and it requires professional expertise in the form of doctors, nurses, and other paramedical staff. Now, how do we come to know that a society is reproductively healthy or not? There are some indicators which show that a society is reproductively healthy or not. Let us discuss these indicators. One of the indicator is decreased maternal mortality rate. Mortality rate means death rate. The society in which death rate of mothers is low, that society is reproductively healthy society. Another indicator is decreased infant mortality rate, low death rate of infants. The society in which there are increased number of couples with small families. The societies in which there is better detection and cure of sexually transmitted diseases. The society in which there is overall increased medical facilities for all sex related problems. So these are all indicators which show that a society is reproductively healthy. Government and non-governmental agencies are encouraging research on various reproduction related areas to find out new methods and to improve the existing ones. An outcome of one of the research is Saheli. It is an oral birth control pill for female and it is developed by Central Drug Research Institute CDRI in Lucknow. As we all know, India is facing problem of population explosion. Population explosion means a sudden large increase in the size of the population. India is having the highest population growth rate in the world. Although India is at second number in size of population after China. But China has almost stabilized its population growth rate. In China, the population size is not increasing as fast as in India, although China is first in population size in the world. Before 1947, population size in India was almost stable, that is, birth rate was equal to death rate. At that time, birth rate was also high, death rate was also high. In olden days, parents used to have 10 to 14 children in their family, out of which 2 to 3 survived. Reason? People used to think that their children may die due to some disease, so they have as many children in their family. At that time, the size of the population in India was 350 million. But after 1947, due to better medical facilities, death rate declined, but birth rate was still high. Slowly and gradually, population explosion began. And population size in May 2000 crossed 1 billion. And if we compare the population size of India with the world population, we see that in year 1900, world population was 2 billion. And in year 2000, world population was 6 billion. Here we can see in India in May 2000 the population crossed 1 billion. So we can say every sixth person in the world is an Indian. Now what is the reason for this population explosion? It is increased health facilities available to people and better living conditions, which resulted in decline in death rates. Death rates means mortality rate. There was a decline in death rate of mother, which is called maternal mortality rate. There was a decline in the death rates of infants, which is called infant mortality rate. Also, there was increase in number of people in the reproducible age. This problem of population explosion is still existing due to lack of education, lack of awareness among people about family planning and birth control options. The government cannot compel anyone to stop the births but can guide people about birth control options. So what is the impact of population explosion? Population explosion resulted in scarcity of even the basic requirements, that is food, shelter and clothing. So the government took up some serious measures to check this population growth. It started motivating people to have smaller families. Now how this problem of population explosion is overcome? Government is encouraging people to have small families so that they can provide better living conditions, better education and better medical facilities to their children. You might have seen advertisements in the media as well as posters or bills showing a happy couple with 2 children with the slogan "Hum do, hamare do." Many couples have even adopted one child norm. Statutory raising of marriageable age of female to 18 years and that of males to 21 years. Incentives are given to couples with small families. For example, the couples which are having single girl child, they are given free education by the government. Now let's discuss some of the commonly used contraceptive methods which help prevent unwanted pregnancies. What is contraceptive method? It is a method to prevent pregnancy or conception. Now which contraceptive method is better? So let's discuss what should be the ideal characteristics of the contraceptive methods. Contraceptive methods should be user friendly. They should be easily available. They should be effective with least or no side effects. They should be reversible. Reversible means as long as the couple wishes not to have child, by using these contraceptive methods, they can avoid pregnancy. But when they wish to have child, then by discontinuing the use of this contraceptive, they can have child also. So contraceptive methods should be reversible. Contraceptive methods should not interfere with the sexual drive, desire and sexual act of the person. In olden days, abortions were more prevalent in Indian society to deal with unwanted pregnancies. But this resulted in deaths of many mothers, or the female later is unable to bear child. Induced abortions are not good for the health of female. Also, abortions are against the ethical, emotional and social values. So, these birth control methods are developed so that they can prevent unwanted pregnancies by preventing the meeting of sperm with the egg, or by preventing fertilization, or by preventing implantation. So let's discuss these contraceptive methods. There are variety of contraceptive methods available. These are natural or traditional, barrier, intrauterine devices, IUDs, oral contraceptives, injectables or implants and surgical methods. Out of these, surgical methods is the most prevalent in Indian societies. Now let's discuss these one by one. First of all, natural methods of contraception. These can be further categorized into 3 categories: periodic abstinence, withdrawal or coitus interruptus, lactational amenorrhea. These natural methods of contraception are based on the principle of avoiding chances of meeting of ovum and sperms. Such methods of contraception, they will not allow the meeting of ovum and sperms. Let's discuss how. First of all is periodic abstinence. 10 to 17th day of the menstrual cycle is considered to be a fertile period. Why fertile period? Because in this period there is probability of ovulation. Although we have discussed that in a 28-day menstrual cycle, ovulation occurs in the mid of the cycle, that is 14th day. But in reality, it is not so. It varies from females to females. So 10 to 17th period of the menstrual cycle is considered to be fertile period, during which probability of ovulation is high. So The couples avoid copulation during this fertile period and they can prevent pregnancy. Second natural method of contraception is withdrawal or coitus interruptus. The male partner withdraws his penis from the female reproductive tract just before ejaculation so as to avoid insemination. So you see, in both these cases, meeting of ovum and sperms is avoided. Another method which also avoids meeting of sperm with the ovum is lactational amenorrhea, during which there is absence of menstruation. It is said that after the childbirth, after the parturition, up to 6 months, there is no ovulation, there is no menstrual cycle in the female if she intensely breastfeeds the child. So you can say ovulation and menstrual cycle do not occur during the period of intense lactation following parturition. Therefore, as long as the mother is breastfeeding the child fully, means the child is not dependent upon the bottle feed, child is only dependent upon the mother's milk, then the chances of pregnancy are almost nil. However, this method has been reported to be effective only up to a maximum period of 6 months following parturition. As in these natural methods of contraception, no medicines or no devices are used, so side effects are almost nil, but chances of failure are also high. Now next is barrier methods of contraception. Now in this method of contraception, ovum and sperms are prevented from physically meeting with the help of barriers, and such barriers are available for both males and females. For example, condoms and diaphragm, cervical caps and vaults. Condoms are available for both males and females, and diaphragm, cervical caps and vaults are only for females. Condoms are either made up of thin rubber or latex sheath, which is used to cover the genital part of the male or vagina and cervix in female just before the coitus, just before the copulation, so that semen would not enter into the female reproductive tract. There is one additional benefit of condom. Apart from its contraceptive value, condom also protects the user from contracting sexually transmitted diseases like AIDS. As you know, these sexually transmitted diseases are transmitted by the body fluids. Now the body fluid semen is not introduced into the female reproductive tract when condom is used. So this condom is providing additional benefit of protecting the user from contracting sexually transmitted diseases. Diaphragm, cervical caps and vaults are available for females. These are made up of rubber that are inserted into the female reproductive tract to cover the cervix during coitus. They prevent conception, they prevent pregnancy by blocking the entry of sperms through the cervix. Condoms are disposable, but diaphragms, cervical caps and vaults are reusable. Spermicidal creams, jellies and foams. Spermicidal means the creams, jellies and foams which kill the sperms are also used along with these barriers to increase their contraceptive efficiency. Another contraceptive method is uterine devices, intrauterine devices, IUDs. These devices are inserted into the uterus of the female. They are of 3 types: non-medicated IUDs, for example lips loop, copper releasing IUDs, that is copper T, copper 7, multi-load 375, hormone releasing IUDs, that is progesterone and LNG 20. Non-medicated IUDs is of a specific shape and it is made up of plastic. Initially, it was these type of IUDs were used in the Indian society, lips loop. Later on, an advancement came and the IUDs, they were made with better advancement and it is called copper releasing IUDs. These are called copper T because these are T-shaped wires made up of copper It is called copper 7 because these are 7 shaped wires made up of copper. Similarly, multi-load 375 is also having some specific shape, and it is also loaded with copper. Then hormone releasing IUDs, they are having specific hormones which are being slowly and gradually released into the female reproductive tract. Intrauterine devices are inserted by doctors or expert nurses in the uterus through vagina. Now this is the copper T in the uterus of the female. Now this copper T will be releasing copper ions into the uterus. Now how are these intrauterine devices protecting against unwanted pregnancies? Intrauterine devices, they increase the phagocytosis of sperms within the uterus. Copper releasing IUDs, they release copper ions that suppress the sperm motility and reduce the fertilizing capacity of sperms. Hormone releasing IUDs make the uterus unsuitable for implantation and cervix hostile to the sperms. Copper releasing IUDs are targeting the sperms, and hormone releasing IUDs are targeting the uterus and cervix. IUDs are ideal contraceptives for the females who want to delay pregnancy and or space children. This is ideal contraceptive for those couple who wish to have 3 to 5 years or more years of gap between their children. It is one of the most widely accepted methods of contraception in India. Oral contraceptives or oral pills. These contraceptives are composed of hormones, progestogens alone or progestogen-estrogen in combination. These are used by the females who wish to avoid unwanted pregnancies. These contraceptives are available in the form of tablets, so they are popularly called as oral pills. Oral pills inhibit ovulation and implantation as well as alter the quality of the cervical mucus to prevent or retard the entry of sperms. These pills have to be taken daily by the female for a period of 21 days, starting preferably within the first 5 days of menstrual cycle. And then after a gap of 7 days during which menstruation occurs, it has to be repeated in the same pattern till the female desires to prevent conception. As we have discussed, these pills are composed of steroid hormones, progestogen and estrogen. And these pills have to be taken daily after a gap of 7 days. Taking steroids daily risks the health of the female because continued use of steroids damages the vital organ of the body, that is liver, kidneys and heart. So Central Drug of Research Institute developed a new oral contraceptive for females, and this oral contraceptive is called Saheli. Now how is it better than other pills? Saheli is a non-steroidal preparation. It is once a week pill. It need not have to be taken daily by the female. Then it has very few side effects and it has high contraceptive value. Now next contraceptive method is injections or implants. Implant is a device of the size of a matchstick and it is inserted in the skin of the upper arm where it will release the hormone to stop ovulation. So injections or implants are composed of progestogens alone or in combination with estrogen. So their mode of action is similar to the oral pills. That is, these injections or implants also inhibit ovulation and implantation as well as alter the quality of cervical mucus to prevent or retard the entry of sperms. You might have heard about the advertisement of unwanted 72 pills on television. These are emergency contraceptives given to the female within 72 hours of copulation to avoid possible pregnancy due to rape or casual unprotected intercourse. Surgical methods of contraception, which are also called sterilization. These are the terminal methods, or you can say these are the permanent methods to prevent any more pregnancies. The contraceptive methods discussed till now, that is natural method, barrier method, intrauterine devices, oral pills, implants, they are all reversible methods. But surgical method is a terminal method to prevent pregnancies. Sterilization procedure in males is called vasectomy, and sterilization procedure in females is called tubectomy. India is a male dominating society, so tubectomy is more prevalent in India as compared to vasectomy. In vasectomy, a small part of vas deferens is cut and tied, and in tubectomy, a small part of fallopian tube is cut and tied. In both the cases, gametes are being formed. Testis forms the sperms and ovum is formed by the ovary, but their transport is blocked. Their transport is blocked so that sperm and ovum do not meet for fertilization purposes. These techniques are highly effective, but their reversibility is very poor. Now, which type of contraceptive method will be suitable? That should be undertaken in consultation with qualified medical professionals. Except for natural methods of contraception, all other methods have some ill effects, and these ill effects are in the form of nausea, abdominal pain, breakthrough bleeding, irregular menstrual bleeding, or even breast cancer. Medical termination of pregnancy, or in short, MTP. Medical termination of pregnancy, also called induced abortion, is the intentional or voluntary termination of pregnancy before full term, or we can say before completion of 9 months. Till now, we have discussed that contraceptive methods prevent pregnancy by not allowing the sperm to meet ovum or by preventing implantation. But medical termination of pregnancy is intentionally terminating pregnancy once fertilization, implantation, and embryo formation has occurred. Many countries have not accepted or legalized MTP due to emotional, ethical, religious, and social issues involved in it. But Government of India legalized MTP in 1971 with some strict conditions to avoid its misuse for illegal female feticides, which are reported to be very high in India. Now, why medical termination of pregnancy? In India, medical termination of pregnancy is allowed in some special conditions only. What are those special conditions? Let us discuss. Medical termination of pregnancy is allowed to get rid of unwanted pregnancies either due to casual unprotected intercourse or failure of the contraceptive used during coitus or in rape cases. In India, medical termination of pregnancy is also allowed if continuation of the pregnancy could be fatal or harmful to the mother or to the fetus or both. Otherwise, MTP is illegal even in India. Now, when pregnancy can be terminated safely? Medical termination of pregnancies are considered safe during the first trimester. First trimester means the period of 3 months. So, MTPs are considered safe during the first trimester, that is up to 12 weeks of pregnancy. Second trimester abortions are much more riskier. There are some disturbing trends observed in case of medical termination of pregnancies. What are those disturbing trends? Let us discuss. MTPs are performed illegally by unqualified quacks, unqualified doctors, which are not only unsafe but could be fatal too. Misuse of amniocentesis to determine the sex of unborn child. Frequently, and if the fetus is found to be female, it is followed by MTP. Such practices should be avoided because these are dangerous both for the young mother and the fetus. So significance of MTP is that it helps in getting rid of unwanted pregnancies and pregnancies which may be harmful or even fatal either to the mother or to the fetus or both. It plays a significant role in decreasing the population also, although it is not meant for that purpose. Drawbacks of MTP: it is being misused to abort even the normal female fetuses, and majority of MTPs are performed illegally by unqualified quacks, which may be fatal. Now, sexually transmitted diseases, STDs, or venereal diseases, VD, or reproductive tract infections, RTIs. The diseases or infections which are transmitted through sexual intercourse are collectively called sexually transmitted diseases. These sexually transmitted diseases are because of unsafe sex practices or by not adopting personal hygiene. Examples of sexually transmitted diseases are AIDS, gonorrhea, syphilis, genital herpes, chlamydiasis, genital warts, trichomoniasis, and hepatitis B. Two of the sexually transmitted diseases are also transmitted by sharing of injection needles, surgical instruments with infected persons, or by transfusion of blood or from an infected mother to the fetus. And these two sexually transmitted diseases are hepatitis B and HIV/AIDS. Some of these STDs are curable and some of these STDs are non-curable. Curable STDs are gonorrhea, syphilis, chlamydiasis, genital warts, and trichomoniasis. Non-curable STDs: hepatitis B, genital herpes, and AIDS. Now, what are the symptoms of sexually transmitted diseases? Itching, fluid discharge, slight pain, and swellings in the genital region. Infected females may often be asymptomatic. Infected females may be without symptoms and hence may remain undetected for long. Absence or less significant symptoms in early stages of infection and social stigma attached with STDs deter the infected persons from going for timely detection and proper treatment. Now, the complications that result due to STDs are pelvic inflammatory diseases, abortions, stillbirths means dead child is born, ectopic pregnancies. Ectopic pregnancies means implantation is either in the fallopian tube or in the cervix instead of in the uterus. It may lead to infertility and even cancer of the reproductive tract. STDs are a major threat to a healthy society. Therefore, prevention or early detection and cure of these diseases are given prime importance under the reproductive health care programs. Though all persons are vulnerable to these infections, but their incidences are reported to be very high among persons in the age group of 15 to 24 years, the age group to which you people belong. But don't panic, prevention is in your hands. You could be free of these infections if you follow simple principles given below. Avoid sex with unknown partners or multiple partners. Always use condoms during copulation. In case of doubt, go to a qualified doctor for early detection and get complete treatment if diagnosed with the disease. Discussion on reproductive health is incomplete without a mention of infertility. We know that there are lot many parents in the world who are infertile, means they could not bear a child even after long years of their marriage. What could be the possible reasons for infertility? The reasons for this infertility could be physical, congenital, that is genetic disorder by birth, or it may be due to some disease or due to intake of drugs, and it can be due to immunological or psychological reasons. Now what happens in infertility? Either the ovulation is not happening in the female, or sperm formation is not occurring, or both ovum and sperm are formed but fertilization is not occurring. There can be problem in the fallopian tube. Maybe fallopian tube is blocked. It may be narrow enough that sperm cannot enter it. Or fertilization is occurring but endometrium is not supporting implantation. So these are the reasons for infertility, and if these problems are treated, infertility can be cured also. 80% of infertility cases can be cured if proper treatment is given to them. If infertility is because of low sperm count or low motility of the sperms, then with some medicines sperm count can be increased or its motility can also be increased. There may be problem in female's menstrual cycle, so hormonal therapy is given to her to treat infertility. In India, often the female is blamed for the couple being childless, but more often the problem lies in the male partner. Specialized healthcare units, that is infertility clinics, etc., help in diagnosing the reason for infertility and provide treatment to enable these couples to have children. But even if such corrections are not possible, the couples are assisted to have children through special techniques which are commonly called assisted reproductive technologies. These assisted reproductive technologies, which are also called ART, can provide treatment in two ways. One is in vitro fertilization and another is in vivo fertilization. In vitro fertilization means fertilization outside the female body in laboratory. And in vivo fertilization means fertilization is inside the female body. Now, in vitro fertilization is carried out in those cases if fertilization is not possible in the female's body, but she can provide suitable environment for implantation. So, fusion of ovum and sperm is carried outside the body in the laboratory by providing all the conditions required for fertilization. So, once the fertilization has occurred, then the zygote or the embryo is then transferred into the female's reproductive tract for further development. And in vitro fertilization is also called test tube baby program. Now, in vitro fertilization can provide treatment in further three ways. One is ZIFT, zygote intrafallopian transfer. Another is IUT, that is intrauterine transfer. Then third one is intracytoplasmic sperm injection, that is ICSI. And in vivo fertilization can provide treatment in two ways, that is GIFT, gamete intrafallopian transfer, and artificial insemination or AI. Now let us discuss these technologies in detail one by one. So first of all, in vitro fertilization. Ova from the wife or the donor. Why donor? Because it may happen that wife is not able to produce ovum. So ova from the wife or the donor and sperms from the husband or donor are collected and induced to form zygote under simulated conditions in the laboratory. Now zygote or early embryo with up to 8 blastomeres is then transferred into the fallopian tube for further development of the embryo. And this is called ZIFT, or that is zygote intrafallopian transfer. And if embryo is more than 8 blastomeres, then it is transferred into the uterus of the female and it is called IUT, intrauterine transfer. In both these cases, lot many eggs are placed inside the semen, and semen is composed of 200 to 300 million sperms. So any of the ovum gets fertilized with any of the sperms. But the third technology, intracytoplasmic sperm injection, also called ICSI, in this case a single sperm is directly injected into the cytoplasm of the ovum. You can see here diagrammatic view of ZIFT, that is zygote intrafallopian transfer. Eggs are collected from the ovary and they are placed in the prepared semen sample. And once the embryo reaches 8 blastomere stage, then it is transferred to the fallopian tube. That's why it is called zygote intrafallopian transfer. Then in intrauterine transfer, what happens? Egg is collected and it is made to fertilize with the sperm in the laboratory conditions, and embryo more than 8 blastomeres is then introduced into the uterus. That's why this transfer is called intrauterine transfer. In intracytoplasmic sperm injection, a single sperm is made to fertilize the ovum by introducing the sperm into the cytoplasm of the ovum using a micropipette. Now in vivo fertilization, it's further of two types, that is gift and artificial insemination. Let's discuss these one by one. Gift, gamete intrafallopian transfer. As the name suggests, gamete, it is the gamete which is placed in the fallopian tube of the female. Transfer of an ovum collected from a donor into the fallopian tube of another female who cannot produce ovum but can provide suitable environment for fertilization and further development. And in artificial insemination, infertility cases either due to inability of the male partner to inseminate the female or due to very low sperm counts in the ejaculate could be corrected by artificial insemination. And in this case, the semen is collected either from the husband or from a healthy donor and is artificially introduced into the vagina or into the uterus. If the semen is introduced into the uterus, then it is called intrauterine insemination. Now you can see by using the catheter, semen is introduced into the uterus of the female. That's why it is called intrauterine insemination. Though options are many, all these techniques require extremely accurate handling by specialized professionals and expensive instrumentation. Therefore, these facilities are presently available only in very few centers in the country. Also, their benefit is not affordable by all. In India, emotional, religious and social factors also discourage people to adopt these methodologies. Since the ultimate aim of all these procedures is to have children, in India we have so many orphaned and destitute children who would probably not survive till maturity if not taken care of. Our laws permit legal adoption and it is one of the best methodology for couples looking for parenthood.